Hi friends, welcome back to Harmony Hills Home and Garden. I'm Jenny and we live and garden here in Baltimore, Maryland, Zone 7. Today's project is a seedling update. I want to show you how things are growing. I want to do some pricking out and potting up, and I might do a little more sowing if I have time. I don't know. So anyway, come with me and let's do some more seed starting here in the spring of 2022. If you've been following along with my channel for the last couple of months, you know that I have set up a seed starting studio down here in my basement. I have 2 full rows of things already coming right along, and some of them are doing really well. So let me give you a tour of what's happening over here. We'll start at this top shelf. This tray has dahlia seeds that are doing quite well. They're starting to get their first set of true leaves on them. I didn't have 100% germination on these, but that's okay. I didn't plan on planting these, so these are actually extras. I have 2 rows here of cardinal flower that have not yet germinated, so I don't know if they're going to or not. They might want to be warmer than they are right here. I don't know. We'll see. The next 3 rows are Nicotiana. And you can see that I've got several seedlings in each cell, and I think I have 100% germination in every cell, so I'm going to have to thin these out before they grow much bigger. And then in the back here, I've got 2 rows of deep blue scabiosa, and I think I've got nearly 100% germination there. And then in the way back, I've got 2 rows of white scabiosa. And again, those germinated pretty well. Yeah, it looks like maybe 90% germination there. And just the beginnings of some true leaves on those. Not all of them yet, but most of them. So that's this tray. In this tray, I'm excited about this one. This is one of my first trays that I did this year. And these are my radishes. I planted these, I think, on February 5th. And I wanted to see if I could grow radishes indoors, completely indoors. And it looks like I can. Look at this. I've got some beautiful looking radishes. These are Cherry Bell variety. They're not meant to get much bigger than they are. They're probably, most of them, ready for harvest. So that is so exciting. I love this one especially right there. And this one right there. So Cherry Bell radishes, indoor grown, looking really, really fine, about ready to harvest. Over here, I've got some iron white stock and some Quartet rainbow stock, and all of these are doing very nicely. They have moved on into their first set of true leaves, second set of true leaves, and the third set of true leaves is coming right on. So those all did really, really well. I did not prune these out or snip these out to separate the doubles from the singles. I'm just going to accept everything that comes along. You can see I do have 2 in most cells because I double planted in case I had germination problems. So if I have time today, I'll be pricking these out and potting them up separately so that I can save all these plants. Over here, Mahogany Splendor hibiscus with their beautiful reddish green leaves. You can see these are the seed leaves right here, the ones that are rounded, and then their true leaves come out with this serrated edge. And so they're all coming along really nicely. I have way more of these than I'm going to need. I'll probably give some of these away. Let's see. And then in the back here, got a tray of Gomphrena and Status. So the first row across the front here are some Gomphrena. I forget particularly the variety. And then I've got Heavenly Blue, Seeker Blue, and Seeker White Status, 1 row each. And again, those are multiple seeds per cell, and I'll probably be thinning those out. And another indoor crop of vegetables that I tried and have succeeded with is this mesclun mix, cut and come again. I could be cutting these off and using them in salads and saving the centers of them so they'll continue to put out more greens. But yeah, these are ready to use. I could probably take those upstairs. By the way, I have already taken upstairs my window box tray full of basil and cilantro, and Pancho the Ancho is living upstairs in the kitchen as well. Also, I took outside my sweet peas. I had a tray of 32 root trainer cells of sweet peas, and they were growing very well in here. But I've taken them outside now, and they're going to live the rest of their life outdoors. They're currently still in the root trainers. I think the sweet peas could be fine probably to plant out now. So I'm going to let them continue to be outside in their root trainers for another day or two. Then I might put them in the ground soon. All right, down here on this second row, my cosmos, which I probably planted too early. They look like to be about the size where I would normally plant them out, but I can't plant them out for another month. So yeah, that was probably a mistake on my part. Here, I'm excited to share with you my Verbena bonariensis have all sprouted. In fact, I have lots of sprouts in these cells. So the indoor seedlings of Verbena bonariensis did work for me. I was just impatient the last time I gave an update. So I only have one here, but I've got many on the other three cells. This is the blackberry lily that a viewer sent me seeds from her own plant, and they all have germinated. 100% germination on these. I put, well, not quite 100%. I put 3 seeds in each cell. I got 3 here, 2 here, and 2 here. But this one just came up today, or overnight, so maybe I'll get the 3rd one on each of these as well. And then back here, I'm happy to report that my white swan echinacea have started to germinate. They're slow, and I'm just going to continue to baby them. You can see this one came up last week. The rest of them have all come up in the last day or two. Still nothing in this cell yet. Oh, wait. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So that's good news. And then over here on this tray, what do we have here? We've got yarrow. So 2 trays of yarrow, and they're all doing very well, very well. Lots of seeds in each of these cells, and I'll need to thin these out. Too many in there. And then over here we've got feverfew, 8 cells full of little seedlings of feverfew, plenty of those. Straw flower, looks like I planted 2 seeds per cell and I did not get 100% germination, so I got fairly good. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plants out of the 16 that I planted, so about 50% germination so far on the straw flower. These are some cathedral bell vines, so 2 per pot. I got 6 of them here. This one is interesting. It's got a red leaf. The rest of them don't have as much red coloration on them, so not sure what's going on with that. But these are just the seed leaves, and you can see here the true leaves are starting to come out in the center of most of them, if not all of them. Finally, on this side, we've got cypress vine, and I planted 8 of them, and I only have, looks like 1, 2, 3 that came up. I'm having trouble keeping these wet enough. These are in the peat pots, and they dry out so fast, so clearly I need to water these again. Okay, in this tray over here, I've got ageratum. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of ageratum, and they have all come up, and they're very small, and they're slow growing, but they are growing. Here I have 3 rows of celosia, but I only got 2 sprouts out of it, so that was really terrible. I might reseed the celosia and see if I can get more. Looks like this is an ageratum that got into the wrong cell. And then over here I've got 4 rows of Dusty Miller, and each of these is 100% germination per cell or more. So that's excellent. So that's the Dusty Miller. So a couple of these have gotten a little bit leggy because of the difference in height of the lights from the tops of the trays. So that's fine. You know, nothing is ever perfect. I don't have a professional operation going here or anything like that. The cosmos especially are a little bit leggier than I want them. And I'm wondering about these cathedral bell vines, but I think they'll be okay. Now, let's take a look at the, what is it? Snapdragons. Let's take a look at the snapdragons now. Okay, I have them over here because I'm getting ready to work with them. I have Bridal Pink, Potomac Apple Blossom, Madam Butterfly Rose, and Potomac Pink snapdragons here. And I've already done 1 row of them. What I'm doing is I'm taking out, when I have 2 seedlings in a cell, I'm taking one of them out and transplanting them into a bigger pot, and then replanting the other one back into here so that I'll have more plants in the long run. I don't want to sacrifice these if I don't have to, and I think I'll be able to prick them out and pot them up and have more plants than if I just snipped these off. Now I've already done it with this row. I had 2 cells in this row that didn't germinate, and then I had 2 cells in this row that double germinated. So I ended up transplanting out of 1 cell into the next one over on 2 of these. And so I'm only going to have 6 of this particular variety, the Bridal Pink, from my indoor sowing. Now I did sow some of these outdoors as well, so I'm hoping that'll get more than 6 in the end. But on these cells, I had no cells that were empty, and I have plenty of cells that have more than one plant in them. So I'm going to be pricking them out and potting them up, the extras, into this kind of cell pack, which is just left over from when I bought annuals last year, and then repotting back into here the other one of the pair. Hope that makes sense. To do this project, I have my, this is the seed starting mix, the same medium that I planted these into. I have my trays that they're going into, and I have the ones that are coming out. Now, this is already moistened, so I don't have to add more water to it. So I'm going to be starting to fill the bottom of this cell with some of this mixture. I'm not sure the camera angle worked on that last one, so I'm going to do another one here for you. So I've got my soil started in these receiving cells here. And let's see, this is a single, this is a single. Here's a double cell. You can see there are 2 plants in this cell. So I'm going to use my spoon. I'm going to just dive down in there and dig one of these out. You can see how well the roots have really grown. And I'm just going to separate these into 2, like that. Put this guy back. I'll be back with you in just a minute, little guy. And now this guy's coming over here. Get him down in there, and then backfill up to the old soil level. There we go. There we go. Now before I forget, I'm going to put my marker in here, Potomac Apple Blossom. I don't want to forget which ones these are. Okay, and I'm just going to backfill this cell so that this little guy doesn't get sad. There we go. And now I'm just going to repeat this process with all of the double cells in here. Okay, so now I have taken out all of the extras out of this seed tray. Each of these cells has 1 plant in it now. Now you might have noticed that some of these are pretty darn leggy, and that's because they were reaching for the light from where they were in the shelf. But I think they'll be all right, especially after I pinch them off a little bit later. So I'm just going to hope that they're going to be fine. I've never grown snapdragons well from seed before, so I'm hoping that these are going to be all right. Now, my fertilizer schedule for these, I've started to fertilize these with a weak solution of fish fertilizer, fish emulsion, liquid fertilizer, and I'm doing that once a week on Wednesdays. Today's Monday, so I'm not going to fertilize these quite yet. I will water them in nicely though, but I'm doing it from the bottom because this is the Growe's self-watering seed tray. So the tray that they go in is this one. You can see that this mat is here that wicks water up from the bottom, and actually the tray is empty of water right now. So I'm going to put these on here and put water in the bottom of the tray and then put them back under the lights. And now for the rest of these, I'm going to put them in a regular seed tray, but I'm going to see if I can fit them into this one. Should be able to go with the other plants that I already have in this seed tray, so I'm not wasting space under the lights. All right, put these under here, and then I'll bottom water these as well. There we go. Okay, so if I have time today, I'm going to go ahead and do that same thing with some of these other seedlings, specifically the stalk and maybe, yeah, just the stalk if I have time today. But first, I need to do a little bit more sowing. So let me get that plan put together. I need to be doing basil, nodding pink onions, amaranth, and then next week I'll start my zinnias and marigolds inside. But for now, basil, which I already have some, but I have some upstairs in the kitchen for eating, but now I'm going to do the ones that are more ornamental for outside, but I'm going to start them inside. All right, basil, nodding pink onion, and amaranth. Okay. All right, I've got a few different kinds of seeds that I'm going to be starting today. One is Hopi Red Dye OG Amaranth. I got these from Johnny's. And I have Love Lies Bleeding type from, I got these at Lowe's. They're Fairy Morse brand, and they are pelletized. So I've heard that pelletized seeds don't have as good of a germination rate as non-pelletized. So I'm not sure that these are going to germinate, but we'll see. I know I've already done some of the nodding onions, and I did those for winter sowing. So I know that they're in this package, which is the seeds I've already sown somewhere this year. So I'm looking. There's the celosia. Maybe I'll pop some more celosia into that tray. Do that today too. Come on now. Nodding onions. Where did I get them? What kind of package are they in? Why are you hiding from me? Where did you go? Let's start from the beginning and try again. Found them. There we go. All right, and now basil. Okay, I have a lot of types of basil, which I'm primarily using for ornamentation in the garden this year. I got on the kick of wanting purple basil, because of recommendations from other gardeners on YouTube, and so I bought a lot. I have red Reuben, and I have a lot of seeds. Look how many of these. It's just fat with seeds. Way more than I ever need of that. So red Reuben. I also have purple ball basil, and there's not very many seeds of these. I also have cinnamon basil. I also have dark opal basil. And then upstairs, I've already got sweet basil and lemon drop basil growing, but I'm not going to be doing those outside for ornamentation. So today I'm going to be focusing on these 4 types of purplish basil. Although the cinnamon basil is green leaves, but with the purple spikes. So these 4, nodding onions, 2 kinds of amaranth, and reseeding the celosia. That is the task. There's nothing fancy about how I'm starting these seeds. I'm putting them all into the same seed starting mix that I've been using for a long time. But I'm almost out of it, so hope I have enough. It looks like I had just enough to fill this tray. Excellent. A little bit more over here. There we go. Good. I'm going to do my labels first, because otherwise I'll have dirty hands when it comes time to writing out my labels. All right. Okay, the other thing I like to do is I like to write on the back of the label to say when I should be expecting these seeds to emerge. And the way I get that data is from the seed packet. So this, for example, Hopi Red Dye OG Amaranth says that it will germinate in 7 to 10 days, which for me, 7 to 10 days from now is March 21, 8, 9, 10. 21 to 24. So I'm going to write March 21 to 24 on the back of my label, and that way I'm not standing there wondering, why haven't my seeds germinated yet? Although I do that, but I shouldn't be. Okay, so that task is done. Now I'm just going to get to planting here. Purple ball basil. It is ready to harvest in 60 days. Beautiful, fragrant, and tasty purple foliage makes the basil both gourmet and ornamental. Plants reach just shy of 1 foot tall with a tidy round form and plum purple color. Excellent in raised beds, containers, and borders. So I'm planning to use this ornamentally, unless we get, you know, a hankering for some purple basil. And I don't know how many seeds I have, so let me see. That's all. Not many. Okay. So let me, what is it? Purple ball. There we go. Quarter-inch deep. So I'm going to make a hole with my pen, I guess. And the instructions say to put 2 to 3 seeds per cell. And then when you plant them, you could thin them, but you could also just leave them as one big hunk of seeds. And then you'll just have a bushier plant. All right, so that's done. I have enough here to do a second row, so I think I will. Right, so this is done. I'm going to mark an X on this seed packet so that I know that it's empty. Next, what should I do? How about some cinnamon basil? I have about double the number of seeds from that other package, so I'm not going to use all these probably. So let me make my holes again, put my marker in before I forget. Cinnamon, there we go. I'm going to do 3 rows of the red Reuben since I have so many seeds. Why not, right? Oh my gosh, so many seeds. There's like a quarter cup of seeds in there. It's a lot. I think some of these holes are getting like 5 seeds in them. That's okay. Did I do this middle row? Yeah, I did. I know I did. All right, dark opal. For the Hopi red dye amaranth, they are an annual. They're used for cut and dried flowers, and they get to be, well, you space them 12 to 15 inches apart, but they grow to be almost 4 feet tall and thin, and they need staking. I don't imagine I'm going to need a ton of these, so I'm going to only plant 1 row of this and 1 row of the other amaranth as well, because I don't know where I'm putting any of these also. That's the other thing. All right, and these need to go in barely cover seed. All right, so they need light to germinate. So, oh, and they are small enough that they come in a little inner envelope. So you know they are tiny, 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 tiny seeds. All right, so they need to be surface sown, so I'm not going to put any holes in my soil. And these seeds are on par with the size of a poppy seed, except they're glossy black. 2 per cell, to the best of my ability to handle these tiny, tiny seeds. I'm going to just make sure I have at least 2 in each cell. I'm probably ending up with 3 or 4 per cell. That's totally fine. Okay, and I'm not going to bury them. I'm just going to press them to make sure they have contact with the moist soil. Okay. And I still have some in here that I can hopefully use next year. Next, the Love Lies Bleeding style of amaranth. This says cover with 1/8 of an inch of soil. Thin them out when they're 3 inches tall. These grow to be 3 to 5 feet tall 18 to 24 inches wide. So again, these are going to be tall and skinny, and they will need staking of some kind. And again, I don't need more than 6 of these for sure. So I'm just going to put 1 row in, and we'll see what happens. These I'm not sure about germination because they're a year old of pelleted seeds. I understand that pelleted seeds don't last as long. So I'm going to, and they're purple. So I'll be, whoop, don't fall out. I'll be able to see how many I get in each cell. So I'm going to actually put 3 per cell since I'm not sure if they're going to germinate. It's nice that I can see them. Makes it quite a bit easier. Pelleted seeds are easier to handle, easier to plant, but they do have the drawback that the coating seems to take away some of their long-standing germination as far as storage from year to year. All right. Now I need to cover this with some fine soil. I'm out of soil, so I'm going to do this. This is soil that's been mixed with perlite. It wasn't my optimum choice, but it's what I have open and handy right now. So cover those up. And I'm going to moisten that soil that I just put on top of there. Okay, and now nodding pink onions. Okay, I do have some of these out in the winter sowing method. So we'll see how many of these I end up with. There are terrible instructions on this packet. I have no idea how deep to make them, so I think I'm going to do them similar to the basil. They're about the same size of seed as the basil, not nearly as small as the amaranth seeds, so I'm going to treat them like a basil seed and put them in a 1/4 inch deep. Now, I don't exactly know why I'm planting nodding onions, wildflower onions, because you know how many wild onions I have in my yard, but they're not pretty pink. So I know it's like planting pink dandelions, isn't it? I mean, there's a risk that they will naturalize and take over in a way that isn't really what I want. But all things considered, I think I'd rather have pretty pink nodding onions than the wild garlic onions that we have. So I don't know. And I do have a spot picked out for these. So back in the behind our fence where I'm trying to grow more wildflowers or natives, that's where these are going to go, up the top of the driveway curve behind the fence, if you can picture where that might be. Very near the Leyland cypress that we have back there. The only thing I have left here that I want to plant are these celosia. I already have a tray with celosia, and I had 12 cells and only 2 of them germinated. So I'm going to plant more seeds into those same cells. So all I'm going to do here now is spray them to moisten the tops evenly. And the soil has already been moistened so that I don't need to bottom water right now. So I'm just going to moisten that up, put a humidity dome on them, and then I'm going to put these onto the heat mat, because especially the amaranth, but I think the basil also would prefer to be warmer when they're germinating. So the backs of the packets say what the temperatures are that they want for germination, and the amaranth for sure wants to be warmer than what we are here, which is about 60 to 65 degrees. So all right, perhaps you can see that I planted 3 rows of celosia and only 2 of them have emerged. So I'm going to replant them. The packages say 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date. I'm past that, but oh well. They emerge in 7 to 14 days, and you want to surface sow them and do a pinch of seeds every 12 inches. So I'm going to do a pinch of seeds in each of these cells, and then I'll space them out when I plant them out. And then you thin them down to 1 per planting area. And you can see how tiny these are again as well. These look a lot like the amaranth seeds. Put a couple on top of each of these. Probably getting, it looks like 3 or 4 per cell here. But since I had such bad germination first time around, I want to go ahead and do it that way. So now I know I've got reseeded all along here. I'm just going to press these all in. and hope to get some better germination on these this time around. Doesn't say it needs a heat mat, so that's good because I don't have any room on my heat mat now. All right, so this is going back under. Now, because I'm not putting the humidity dome on them, I'm going to have to make sure that they stay moist. But these have already germinated, so I don't want to put the dome back on. Well, friends, thank you so much for joining me again today here in my seed starting studio. Things are coming right along, and I'm excited because our 10-day forecast doesn't show any freezing temperatures at all, and sometimes the nights only go down into the 40s. So it's a really great indicator that spring is on its way. We're 1 week away from the equinox, so we know that spring is really on the way. So, you know, it's an exciting time to be a gardener. I hope that things are going well for you in your garden spaces, whether you're actively growing seeds or planting things out, or maybe you're still in the planning phase, the dreaming phase, because you've got snow out there. I hope that spring comes quickly and beautifully to you, and I hope that I'll see you again in another video real soon, friends. Take care. Bye-bye.